Are you a parent of teens? Are you interested in sharing and learning insights about parenting teens? Welcome back to Parenting Teens. Today, again, I'm with Isa, and we're going to talk about parents who embarrass their teens. But we're also going to talk about how teens embarrass their parents. Isa, you're welcome back.
Thank you, please. Thank you, Lillian, for this opportunity. I always have the time when it comes to issues of teens, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for accepting to come back. So, as usual, I have a couple of questions, and the first one I want to ask is, I have heard that some teens are embarrassed by their parents. They are embarrassed by their parents' behavior, or they feel embarrassed by the things parents do. And this manifests most in school settings. Mm-hmm. Have you observed this behavior?
Thank you very much. A lot, and some parents really don't take it serious, but when these children are growing, there are some minimum standards they expect in terms of our way of doing things, our discipline, the way we conduct ourselves as parents. I would want to give you examples. Dress code. There are schools, especially schools of different categories, which have got a clear dress code, which they even display photos on the gate. If you're dressed in such appearance, you're not entering. And when the children are being sensitized on social etiquette, especially dressing code, there are minimum standards about how a lady is supposed to look in terms of decency, how a gentleman is supposed to look in terms of decency. So the moment you abuse any of those, then the child gets embarrassed. For example, I know a school, I'll not mention for purposes of confidentiality, because when you mention the school, some parents feel he's not talking about me, and some feel embarrassed. But there are schools which have made laces, small wrapper cloth. Yeah. They put at the gate, and if you don't meet the minimum standards, say please take that one. Now when you enter with that one inside the school, all the children will know, Mama Swan is putting on the lace because of bad dressing. And it's already an embarrassment to the child, because the moment you leave, then you know the other in small cocoons, your child becomes a topic. Mama, what you know, your mother this, your auntie this, becomes a challenge. Same applies also to dads and maybe male guardians. In most schools in the Ugandan setup, with all due respect, these tawny jeans, when you are coming as a parent, children feel there is something. Then when you put on the dreads and what, the children have their own interpretation. And it doesn't augur well with the child you have visited, because as you leave, for them they start making the interpretations and mocking the child, and so the child feels embarrassed. So I would request the parents that when you're going to visit these children, there are modest ways of appearance. You may not have very expensive dress, very expensive maybe shirt, whatever, but what we are calling for is decency in the African, especially the African setup. That you're putting on a trouser, if possible it's ironed, if you're lady, you're putting on either gomesi or you're putting on a dress, but long enough, skirts which are long enough, good enough. Maybe your hair is done properly. If you cannot do the lady kind of style of hair, you can even cut it and comb it properly, well kempt, that'll be fine. Then the other...
Before you go to the other one, sorry to cut you short, isn't society a little bit too harsh on women compared to men when it comes to physical appearance?
Myself as a person, I would say there is a weight in that, but does not start with this generation. In many instances, the African setup, Ugandan setup, women have somehow been kept in a given kind of corner. So we are so critical about women on everything. When it comes to the dressing, really, if I'm with you and I'm badly dressed and you're badly dressed, the eyes will be more, even if I'm worse dressed than you, the eyes will be more to the lady. So I think that is a kind of script that have been put in people's brains, but with the women emancipation, with a lot of sensitization, a lot of talk. Some things are changing in
Let's put context to this badly dressed, especially for men, because sometimes people don't understand that it's possible that men may also not be well dressed for school. So what are the kind of examples of a male guardian or parent not being well dressed?
When you're coming to school, you're coming to meet children from so many backgrounds. So the moment you put on anything which is above the knee, these shorts which are above the knee, whichever type of car you're driving, whichever, whatever, the moment the short is above the knee, children look at you differently. When you're putting on jeans which have got holes, I don't know what they call them.
Patched jeans.
Those patched jeans, the children have their interpretation.
Or ragged jeans.
They feel, no, not a parent. This should be some teen or some youth somewhere who is still finding such a kind of harmonization. Then when you put on sleeveless, and you're coming as a parent, it's not good. That's basically dressing.
Okay, thank you. I think that gives us some context about. For women, I think people generally know the context we are talking about.
I think for the women, even as we talk, people have got to say everybody has got their own.
So, what are the other challenges that cause teens to feel embarrassed
about their parents?
Yes.
Thank you. The other one is there are sometimes when, especially male parents, guardians, they sometimes come to school when they are drunk. A parent, a guardian comes and is talking uncoordinated things, is using very bad language, is very bad action, is gestures, and the children, especially when we call you, in most cases when we call you, we call the child to come to the office. So when you go high, because you are drunk, sometimes their responses, they go to the extent of even changing the voice, start shouting over the roof. Sometimes even they use vulgar language because they are drunk. So whenever I go to school when you are drunk, it's an embarrassment to the child. And the colleagues will always see, whether they are in class or not, they will always see from the windows. That is Jenny's parent. That is Jenny's father. And the moment you leave, they are going to talk about that for the rest of the term. And the child feels small. So dear parents, come to school when you are sober. Mind the language. And there are those who come when they are sober, but also they fail to control their emotions. You don't know the others. You interact with the school, school leadership, school teachers. The emotions may be cracked here and there. Remain calm. Control your emotion. They have emotional intelligence. But there are sometimes when you shout at teachers in a way that the children also feel embarrassed. They shout at matrons, shout at teachers, and belittle the teacher. There are those who say, look at this, I can't even buy it. So that language is really embarrassing to the children because the children respect us. And because they respect us, when you try to abuse us and make us small, they also feel embarrassed. So as you come to school, whatever status you are, please respect the teachers who teach your child.
Are there cases where, we're still talking about challenges,
yes.
Are there cases where teens are misinformed about what they should be embarrassed about their parents? Where teens have, for example, been embarrassed about something that is supposed to be normal?
Do you know the teens are very sensitive? For example, there's what called school fees or school dues. There are parents who pay in the holidays and complete. There are parents who pay at the beginning of the term and complete. There are those who pay slowly throughout the term. So there are sometimes when they read out the fees defaulters. Some children feel if you read me among the fees defaulters, it's an embarrassment. So they take the embarrassment to the parents. They get annoyed with the parents. Why has my father, my mother not paid? But to be real, to be sincere, there are some parents who really struggle but do their best. And such that by the end of the term they have completed, but the children feel they end up blaming the parents. How can I be read among the defaulters? You know, it's a level of feeling high in everything. So when they are reading anybody has done good, you should be among them. So a child getting embarrassed because your parent has not paid fees at a given time is misconceived.
Could it be the way it's done? Because why does it have to be read? Could the child be informed privately?
I think some schools, I would agree with you. Some schools don't do it well. They take a list to the class and say the following people fees defaulters come out. Then they start reading. And if I'm 17, 18, that I'm feeling high about myself. When you read me among the fees defaulters, you have deflated me. So I would agree with you that some schools don't do it very well.
Can you share with us some examples where students have told you that they've been embarrassed about their parents, and in what circumstances were they embarrassed about their parents?
The other one that we can quote is when mothers come, especially polygamous marriages. A mother comes and is blaming whatever is happening on the co-wife. And they shout in the office, that is your they call her what? That's your stepmother doing that to you, is bewitching you. So when you started talking about bewitching, for the children they feel tradition is backward, it's not good. Then when the fathers come, sometimes they abuse children and say, you are as dull as your mother. I'm telling you.
In the presence of
the school leadership. Maybe you are in the office and they are explaining about what the child has done not right. And the father is fuming and say, this is the same as the mother. Very stupid. The behavior is the same as the mother. So when you start abusing either side of the parent, this is a child, my mother is my mother, my father is my father. Now when you have disagreements, and then you are now exposing them, especially in a school setup, the children feel very embarrassed. And sometimes we have even called children and say, your father has come. Can you come? The child dodges and goes to the toilet. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the child is not appearing. So, please, can you go and call Jane? They look for Jane, is nowhere to be seen. Because they fear that dad is going to lose. He's going to lose his emotion and he's going to talk so many things about family. Even when the children have had mistakes at home, maybe they have had relationships and they have been fighting the relationships back home. When you bring them to school and you bring them in a manner, the way you are carving them out is belittling and is making the child feel very small. They feel embarrassed and they want to be away from you as possible. So you come to school, you call for the child disappears. During the party, some parents have gone away embarrassed because the child has refused to come and meet the parent.
So how do we get those children back if they have been embarrassed by their parents for various reasons? Maybe a parent came wearing skimpy clothes that are not allowed in the school, or maybe the parent came when they were drunk, and then the child is embarrassed. How have you mitigated such situations between the child and the parent?
Maybe I can add on before I go to that question. There are parents who also fail to control their emotions. You've been told your child does this and you start using very bad language against the child and you start slapping and kicking. Now, teens really need, even when we are punishing, we still do with respect. Because these are transiting to adults. So you don't need to kick and throw on the wall and slap. You can't even tell the child, please, this is not acceptable, you're going to punishment ABCD in a very respectful way. But their parents who have come and they have lost their cool and they will start slapping. Even teachers come and start grabbing the parent. Like you're fighting the child. So in such a situation, the children get embarrassed. Now you leave the onus on the teachers to see how best to bring back the psychology of this child. So teachers have always taken responsibility, called the child and say, Nange, people go through this. Sometimes parents, they also have issues. Please don't blame it on yourself. Also forgive the mother, forgive the father. So we try. It takes, that one pinch will take a whole year to mend it. Their children at the end of the holiday, at the end of the time, they don't want to go home.
Because they do not...
Because there is no love, because there is bad language, because there is abuse. So you find the days break off, maybe Friday, you try to tell the children, please inform the parents. We'd normally give them phones to keep on reminding the parents about the closed day. But if you give a child a phone and he will pretend as if he's talking to the parent, when actually he's not talking to the parent. So by 4, why are you still at school? Let me call the parent. You ask the parent, please, you're not coming for Lillian? What is the problem? What is happening? We are breaking off. But I've just known now. Say, Lillian, you didn't tell your mother? And Lillian is just there. Because there is a fear. So sometimes there are children that we take on to guide, counsel, encourage, because we know, the moment we know what happens with your parents, and especially parents who fight a lot before the children. Yeah, the children. It comes with them to the school. Some children don't even open up, but you see there is some social kind of psychological breakdown in the child. You get them into activities, but you find they are closed. There is something weighing into them. Sometimes some of them, it takes them a lot of time to really open up. That's why we encourage you that when you're in school, try to find somebody with whom you're free. Whether it could be a teacher, it could be a matron, but talk what you're going through.
So it means teachers really have a lot of work. You're dealing with the child, but you're also dealing with the parent. And in some cases, do you advise parents to go and get help? But as you think about answering that question, I want to come back to parents, because there's always two sides of a coin. There is teens being embarrassed by parents, but there's also parents being embarrassed by their teens. And lately, parents are feeling like they are the ones who get lectured to more than teachers get lectured to, especially when they go to school. So when it comes to visitation, parents are deciding, will you go? Should we both go, or should I go? Because some parents also find it really challenging to visit because they know they are going to be lectured to. What do you have to say about that?
Actually, it's only responsible schools which take that time. By the time they want to lecture to you, really there is much that they want to bring to your attention about your child. So parents, like you have named it, they call it lecturing, and some of them are negative even to listen to the end. But just like we said, when it comes to the teens, there is much. And sometimes we contribute as parents. But then the other maybe discussion should bring in is how we also teachers contribute to children in psychological breakdown. Maybe that would be another discussion. We also have a contribution, but they're not angels. Maybe we shall have that discussion. But there are many times when people really don't understand the work of the teachers. But Lillian, just remember, you have children. In COVID, when you had children for a month, 2 months, that's when some respected teachers. We don't really teach in class, blackboard and done. There are so many things. So many things we do with your children.
Do you think that because now for many teachers, some teachers, not many, some teachers say that they have been limited in the kind of disciplining options they have for children. And then also teachers are saying that parents spoil their children in terms of not wanting any disciplinary action taken against their children. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question. To be sincere, there are some teachers who have given up and they're only interested in blackboard work. So many reasons. One, I would want to say that there is a thin line between respect and fear. During our time in the 70s, 80s, your mother would simply say, Isa, or just look at you in a manner that you feel something's not right. You go and put yourself right. Because you're fearing what is going to happen next. Either it's going to make you miss two meals, or something. But now this time the children have got this thing of children's rights. But they don't add on children's responsibilities. So they say, children's rights, we're not supposed to shout at me, we're not supposed to beat me, we're not supposed to do this. So even the parents have taken that. So the parents have made teachers fear children. That sometimes when these children report any incident, whether these days what the teachers do is they make you maybe write a statement, or they make you go under a custody tree, say please be there for 2 hours, and when you are there people are laughing at you. It's like a prison. It's not in an open place. Say you have done this 2 hours, and the teens feel getting there is a shame. So some parents, some parents actually have used teachers to spy on teachers. That when a teacher gives such a punishment, then the child will run very much to a given teacher somewhere, give me a phone. Mommy, teacher Antigua told me to go under the custodial tree. And some parents come right away.
Really?
There are some parents who have told us, I'm the one who brought up that child. Therefore, if the child is making mistakes, I'm responsible. Can you please give me the punishment? I do it.
How do you handle that?
There are some parents we have really felt we may not be able to flow properly because our jurisdiction, the parents are like our sponsors. We respect them. And unique customer is king. So sometimes we say, parent, we are very sorry, please, we shall handle. Then now we know that this child is supposed to be put aside. So it's absurd to say that there are some children, they are ready to go wrong because of fearing the reaction of the parent. People, for example, are going for general cleaning, leader is not cleaning and no teacher is minding. And you are missing out on some training, positivity towards work, you're missing it out. But because of the parent, we leave you out. So you think you are winning, but in the long run, you're not learning maybe about how to use your body, attitude about work, you're not getting it. So some parents have made teachers fear the children. I've got an incident where a mother came to school, it was a VD. Then there was an incident about a girl of senior 3 who refused to wake up, and the matron came and told the teacher, the warden, that I'll use your name. Lydian has refused to wake up. Now the female teacher went and said, removed the blanket. Said, come out very fast. And there was some bit of scuffle. Then the other children were not happy. The child herself was not happy, but they didn't report. They handled at school. Now on VD, because the child knows the mother, did not tell the mother. Then some children went and narrated. Teacher so and so came and abused Lillian and removed even the blanket and made her even go to class without bathing in the morning. The mother went to where this was a class teacher handling so many other parents. Just bypass all the parents and say, do you know me? I'm the mother to Lillian. Papa 2 slaps.
Really?
Before all of the parents.
But then again, those parents have problems because how can you be violent in front of
and
children?
this is a mother of a senior 3 girl. The teacher is a mature teacher really who needs respect. And I'm telling you, it's the parents who try to get hold of this lady. Because this teacher did not even have the background what's happening. Could not remember the other incident. But the lady gave the teacher 2 slaps before other parents.
Did that child remain in that school?
No, actually there was a lot of discussion. Because the child did not report because he knows the mother. It's the colleagues who reported. Now when they were handling that issue, we realized that we don't need to punish Lillian. And we can't punish the mother. We just have to cancel Lillian, cancel the teacher. Teachers really absorb a lot. But there are some of these instances which really embarrass us and discourage us from putting your children in order.
Do you sometimes, I know this was not a planned question, but do you sometimes doubt yourself as a teacher because of these actions of parents?
Doubt would be a big word, but there are sometimes when some teachers really feel they're in a wrong profession. They lose morale, and just like I've told you, there are teachers who feel, I want to go to class, blackboard work, full stop. And we as administrators of schools, really, we keep on also now trying to guide these teachers, encourage these teachers, mentor these teachers, encourage them and say, please, the parents will do anything possible, but these children are our responsibility. Do you know that these days, there are for us, our time expulsion would really mean a lot. They expel you from school. The father, the mother, both of them will first give you a lot of strokes. And they will keep you home for the rest of the term without looking for another school. These days, you expel a child, the next day is in another school. Because of business in the schools, some schools don't even ask for recommendation from the previous school. You've come, they give you a payment sheet and you're able to pay.
Because it's an investment, it's a business.
Yes. Once our time, they expel you, you are supposed to go to another school, they'll ask you, can we get a recommendation from the other school? And they can't give it. So you find you are there floating for some time, but I've told you these days, they expel you today, tomorrow you can be in another class, in another school, comfortably studying.
Isa, you have so many stories, but before we wrap up, before the talk or in another discussion, you talked about having to deal with teachers who are also almost teens themselves. Now, in these kind of situations, I can imagine it being really difficult for a new teacher who has just started teaching, because some of these things come with experience.
That's right.
So how do you prepare new teachers to deal with this kind of issues with parents and managing teens who are difficult?
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to say, but the profession itself does not have only angels. The first issue we handle with some of these teachers is somebody is 19, is teaching, is interacting with the children of the same age bracket. There are some people out there who say, abasomesa baagala abaana. That teachers love children. Some of those cases amplify that. Somebody comes and is attracted to an age mate who is in class, but you are in front of the blackboard, and you hear Teacher Isa, it's not the behavior of Teacher Isa and Janet. Then when you investigate, you find there's something happening. Then now you have to sit with the teacher and talk and say, please, our profession, this, whatever the age they are, your children, you are a guardian, you are an extended parent. So you find you also take a lot of time into that, but also, actually during our time it was not so much amplified, but these days we have children calling teachers.
Oh.
You find a senior 4 child in love with a teacher. So
how do you deal with such situations?
I am telling you,
there are so many.
Now these are cases where even if you are a parent,
but it's a situation that has to be dealt with.
Now, when it is a school person, a teacher, a staff, any type of staff, doing wrong to a child, the school takes total responsibility. And
their laws, their school rules, their regulations, it's easy to administer
to the teachers. But now, socially speaking, it becomes a little bit difficult to bring out the extreme, genuine kind of indicators of Isa is in love with a certain child. You see so many things, but you can't and guide and people, the child will say it's not true. The teacher will say impossible. But then there are so many indicators that say it is beyond the teacher-child relationship. So sometimes you can't, and when things don't go right, you lose the teacher. You cannot suspend your child because they're in love with the teacher.
So in this case, would you suspend the teacher and also expel the child?
We expel the teacher. The moment we have our facts, we expel the teacher.
If it was the teacher's fault, but now in the case where the student...
It is when you have a male student loving a teacher, you still will lose the teacher.
And what happens to the male student?
We keep on counseling. We feel that being in school makes you a child. And there are some things that you may not do. You may do because of age. You have not thought them so well about them. And the teacher should be able to put you right.
Because the teacher is the adult
and if the teacher consents and there's a relationship going on, by all means, we'll lose the teacher as a starting point. Then second point, we'll keep this child in a guiding track. But also if you go to another teacher, we have experience because of you, Isa. But if again we hear you are picking another relationship with another teacher or another student now, we lose the child. And whatever the parent will complain and explain, we shall say no.
Oh, Isa, you have so much experience in this area. I know we started this conversation talking about embarrassing situations that parents expose their teens, and also sometimes the embarrassing situations teens put their parents in. To wrap up, what final, maybe not, it could be advice or it could be just your final thoughts around this whole situation of parents and teens feeling embarrassed about each other. How can we live in harmony, in the sense that parents feel like they are doing the right thing by their teens, and also teens are doing the right thing by their parents, such that we don't get embarrassed about one another?
Thank you very much. Just like I told you, the parents love their children so much from 0 years to around P5, P6. As they transit into teenagehood, because of changing hormonal changes, their behavior also changes. Then the parents start getting embarrassed by their children. So the gap goes on growing. So you find that the talk time between the parent and the child reduces. And when it reduces, things go even worse. So my advice would be that let the parents understand that these children are going through transition and there are hormonal changes which are depicting in the day-to-day behavior. Let them not distance. Please, this child remains your child. So sometimes even you send them to do things that they refuse in your face, they still remain your children. It's you to calm down and say, now, which other approach? Can I involve the dad? Can I involve the uncle? But don't give up. Don't say the school will handle, the world will handle. So let the talk continue, even in teenagehood. I know it is the parents will feel I've done everything for the child, but now the child is responding to me in a way, he's giving me an attitude, I don't want that embarrassment. Let him be there, let me also be this way. That's the beginning of problems. We as parents are supposed to calm down. We call it Okweto Waza is what in English? You make yourself humility.
Yeah, humble yourself.
Yes. So you may feel that the child is really not paying back your energy, your sacrifice, but don't give up. He still remains your child. So talk time is very good. The moment they feel that you're putting in talk time, the moment they feel there is an interface, there are some things they don't do because of that. So the main advice to the parents would be maintain talk. Actually, in teenage, you would even increase talk time. Increase the interface. Ensure that relationship grows stronger.
Oh, Issa, thank you so much. This has really been very enlightening.
Thank you.
And as I said, I really want to have you back to talk about career guidance for teens themselves, but also for parents.
And I've also requested that in your schedules, create a theme where also we teachers do embarrassing things to our children. It's very important.
Actually, we didn't talk about that. So yes, that has been hard. Or do you want to just touch on that very quickly before we wrap, or we can talk about another time?
I would prefer that only give it time.
Okay.
Give it.
Thank you very much, Issa. And for those of you who have been listening to us, thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe, comment, like, so that you can watch many of these videos. Thank you very much.
And join the discussion as much as possible. You can even take the contacts and even call the people in charge.
Thank you very much, Issa, for that addition. And bye.